Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, before we take this little Kamtec racing for the first time, we've got the Kingpin brace, so should hold the front suspension if you like, or front hubs a bit more sort of sturdy, because apparently they can come loose, but let's bring you in for a close-up look and see what it's like to fit this kit. So, as per normal with the Kamtec stuff, there's no instructions whatsoever with it. Just that it's a Kingpin brace. So we get the brace itself, we get two really long screws, we get two washers, and I believe these are supplied with the actual standoffs, but apparently these are way too long, and Gareth has 3D printed us some smaller standoffs, and then we have two lock nuts. So let's see what wonders we have in fitting this. So we're definitely going to have to take his wheels off to get to the front suspension. And one of his bearings has stayed on. That can stay, we don't need it. So then we can drop the other wheel off. And both bearings have come off with that. Why is that not moving? Ah, it is. Just make sure we don't lose any of his bearings. So, apparently we need to take the little clip off the top, but first off we need to undo these screws. I believe these are 2mm hex. So we're going to have to drop one of these out of each side, and we've got this little locking nut on top. So that's the original screw and the lock nut from each side. So apparently we need the longer ones in. Then we're going to have to flip her back over. So we should be able to get these back on. That should line our plate up, so it should be fine for this to go on. Looks like we're lining up good so far. So we need as clips off. And I believe we take as washers off. Then we should be able to drop this in place. So once we've got that in place, you should just be able to get your clips back in. These are always little fiddly things. So that's one of them back on. And apparently we don't need as washers on top because these are, the brace is giving you the thickness of what your washer would be, and it's going to stop your spring flying off anyway. So once we've got them on, we can then use one of his washers on the top of this. And we should be able to get a lock nut to screw down on either side. You don't need to go crazy tight with these, it's just to nip all the suspension together. But for me that has completely destroyed any chance at suspension working at all. So we're definitely going to have to push that up. It's kind of got suspension, but it looks like that's pulling it down way too far, so it's compressing the spring quite a lot. See what this side's like. So it can work, but you've lost a lot of the suspension. So let's see if we can move it up a little. I don't think we need to go up a lot, but it definitely needs some more height under there. I'm wondering if we'd get away with a full locking nut on top of that. Nope, that looks too much. They're certainly not an exact science, these Kamtecs. From what I can tell, they can't even supply the same chassis kit to kit, so it's a roll of dice what you end up with. But they are a dirt cheap, fun little RC. So let's back us screws all the way out so they're not interfering with anything, and see where this lies. So if we push it all the way through, definitely think it's going to be more than 2 washers. So let's see what spacers we've got. So after looking at this, I think we're going to need one of the washers that came with the kit, and then we're going to need a 1mm shim, and then another of the washers that came with kit on either side. And let's see if that brings us height back up to where it should be. That certainly looks better. So, just because I've got them, I'm going to stick another washer, 1mm washer on there, and then a locking nut. And let's see if we can tighten these down and see if that will sit where it should. Well, that certainly looks better. We've got its proper amount of travel in a suspension at least. So let's get the clips back on. That certainly looks more like it. So let's see if we've got any adjustment left in these track rods. That's looking a bit better. Be able to tell more when we get it running. But we should now be able to stick his wheels back on. Not the most exact fit in the world, but I'm guessing they'll free up as we start running it. So at least now I've got wheels on. Let's see if we can play around with toe a little. That's looking a little better. We'll not know till we run it, but basically that's now got the brace on, so it should make these a lot stronger in case it gets hit. Since building it, I've loosened these 2 screws off slightly to give it more sort of suspension on the rear. So I've just backed these off a little just to give it a bit more play. Gareth did tell us to do that. He also advised that the locking nuts on the bottom of these screws you can swap out for the normal nuts, but I've left them at minute because it does sit pretty low down anyway. So I'll run it, see what it runs like, and I didn't actually get any of the flat ones, non-locking nuts in the kit for mine. But that is the little brace fitted, and all I've needed to add from what came in the kit is 1mm shim underneath and 2 little washers that came with kit. But the suspension does seem to run nice and free, and his back suspension seems fine, and we get a couple of little nuts and bolts left over. which always comes in handy with RCs. These things really cheap to get off AliExpress. I just buy them in bags of quite a few. I'm not sure how many's in them, but they come in really handy with touring cars and race buggies, just shimming things. But that should be our little Kamtec ready for its first outing. Hopefully the ground clearance is high enough, because it's pretty much set at its highest. So, but it's quite a funky looking, nice little thing, and we'll see how it goes. So let's wrap this one up. So there we have the little Kamtec all ready for racing with its new brace fitted. So yeah, should get a few laps in with this tonight and see how it goes. Should be fun, nice, cheap, slightly awkward to do anything on because nothing fits right, but you can get there in the end, and the price of these things you don't really care. But yeah, thanks again for watching WTF Rc Cars. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.